not know me, I am Dr. Malia Jensen. I am a board certified family physician. We do this every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. I'll wait for people to get on board here. Um, Good. Everybody's starting to join in. Good, good, good. I appreciate you guys being here. It tells me that you are wanting to take part in your own health. And today we have Today we have some powerful information that I think everybody should know. And I don't think any of it is controversial, but we'll see. I seem to stir up controversy wherever I go because of I speak what I feel is the truth. But today we are going to touch on what I call whack-a-mole medicine, the whack-a-mole trap, so to speak. And what I mean by that is taking a medication for something which drives something else. So you take another medicine and then that drives something else. And then you take another medicine. And I refer to that, and it's commonly referred to. I mean, it's not just me making it up, it is called whack-a-mole medicine. Now, with that being said, we have to be very careful because most people think about medicine, they think about pharmaceutical companies. And you think about your doctor giving you a certain medication that causes blood sugars to go up, so they give you another medication for the blood sugars, which causes something else that you have to take another medicine for, whack-a-mole medicine. However, those same companies also own the supplements that you take. Okay, the supplements that you take for one thing can cause something else to occur, which you take another medicine for, which you call a supplement. Let's be real that these are considered medicines, no matter who, or if they're supplement or they're a pharmaceutical. It's just that when they're a supplement, they're not FDA approved. They're not there's no testing on them. We really don't know what we're getting. In fact, if you were to look at, how the supplements are produced, you would wonder why you are even taking a supplement and why not just taking in whole foods with those supplements, so to speak, that are in there. And I want to touch on something that came up yesterday, and I I'm going to admit I probably did not think through the question well enough. What I mean by that is I was asked if there was one supplement that I would not want to get rid of. What would that be? And I thought about it and I said, "Ooh, that's a tough question." But in the bottom of my heart, I was thinking there really isn't a supplement that I can't live without. And why am I struggling to answer this question? Because our mind and our heart tells us that we are off in certain vitamins or even minerals. And we take these things because we're trying to help our health, when in fact we could be damaging our health. And that's where we run into problems. And I don't even think doctors know. Um, and and I'm speaking as one, okay? And I'm going to speak as one who did not know because I didn't look deep enough, okay? Good morning, Lucy. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Lucy is my blue shield over on YouTube. We are live on YouTube and Instagram this morning. And for those Instagrammers, it also goes over into Facebook. So we are talking a little bit, Lucy, about whack-a-mole medicine. And that also means whack-a-mole supplements. Your supplement companies are the exact same people who make the whack-a-mole medicines. All right. And your doctor is prescribing the whack-a-mole problems. All right. Or not telling you about the problems that you are you're not aware of. Let's just be honest. And I wasn't either. So I'm one of those doctors. You're one of those patients. You're one of those listeners right now. So let me give you an example so you can put this into context. There was a question that came up from a patient, not a patient, a listener. yesterday. And I don't even know that it was a question. It was actually a statement to one of my reels. And at this point in time, I can't remember which reel it was, but I don't think it matters because I think the concept is going to, you'll understand here in a minute. This woman said she had breast cancer and that her doctor told her to avoid copper, anything with copper in it. Okay. And why would a doctor, like an oncologist, say to the person, avoid copper? Because when we hear copper, we hear angiogenesis. Maybe you don't, but I do. You might hear, I hear copper and I hear increased blood flow. Do you see? Angiogenesis means the development of new blood flow to an area. So if a person is told to avoid copper because they had breast cancer, it appears that breast cancer and copper are best buddies. And I can't completely get on board with that, but I feel that there's a misconception that copper feeds cancer via angiogenesis. The reality of this whole situation is that that woman fears copper because she thinks that copper is going to feed new blood vessels into her breast cancer and it will go haywire. The breast cancer will spread because it has good blood flow, good nutrients, good food, all of that stuff. Okay. But the reality is when she causes a low bioavailable environment of copper, she causes a situation where the body can't manage her iron. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Lucy. Lucy says she should fear iron. So if there is low copper in the body because the woman at all costs is avoiding copper, she's causing a mismanagement of her iron. You need copper in order for iron to do its job. If there is no copper, the iron will get trapped in tissues. Iron will get trapped in tissues like the liver, like the breast, like the kidneys, like the heart, creating a high stress, high oxidative environment that actually promotes tumor growth and suppresses the immune system. This is called a pharaoh environment. And that doctor telling that patient who's got breast cancer or a survivor of breast cancer, telling her to avoid copper causes a state of iron trapping and cancers and all pathogens, parasites, fungus, bacteria, um, viruses love to eat copper. So he or she, oncologist, was trying to help woman breast cancer survivor, breast cancer, they got breast cancer, telling him to avoid copper, which is going to cause iron dysregulation, which increases cancer. So we're telling the patient to do one thing and accidentally fueling the very environment that cancer loves. Okay. Now, here's another thing of guacamole medicine, and this goes in line with the copper and the iron. Okay. Hi, Monica. Thanks for being here. I truly believe that most people treat their health like guacamole, like a game of guacamole. You take a high dose supplement for one marker, only to crash 3 or 4 others. Okay. If Here's an example, and this is going to coincide with what I just talked about with the breast cancer, okay? But there's many things that are repercussions of this very thing I'm going to talk about. Let's say you take vitamin D because you've been told that you're low in vitamin D, or you feel that I'm probably low, I'm not going to check it, I'm going to take it anyway. When we flood our body with vitamin D, and here's another thing, what test is the person looking at? What test is the person looking at to get their vitamin D level? Because when we're checking a inactive vitamin D at 25 hydroxy vitamin D level, it's not very accurate because it's inactive. We should actually be checking an active vitamin D, okay? And we're not, because doctors don't know how to read it. And so we're likely overdosing on vitamin D. And when we overdose on vitamin D, this will crash vitamin A. High D crashes vitamin A. Vitamin A, when there's okay, they're fat soluble, A, D, E, and K. When we raise vitamin D, they use the same receptor as vitamin D, and vitamin A use the exact same receptor. So if you have excess vitamin D, you're going to crash vitamin A because there's no receptor for it. Low vitamin A means that you can't load copper into ceruloplasmin. And without ceruloplasmin, iron gets trapped in tissues and liver, heart, and kidneys, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so hear me out. Let's just say that the breast cancer lady was told by her doctor to avoid all copper. And he told her, you really should be taking some vitamin D. So she avoids copper, takes vitamin D. Vitamin D lowers vitamin A. Vitamin A lowers copper. She's already trying to avoid copper, right? And now we're going to lower it even more from her um okay, hold on, I had a loss of thought. Okay, she's avoiding copper already, right? Now he tells her, or she tells her, you probably should take some vitamin D. It's wintertime, whatever, take some vitamin D. The vitamin D lowers vitamin A lowers copper, and now you have a really low copper level. Now you really have a lot of problem with iron being trapped in tissues. Now, iron is necessary for everything as long as it's in the right place. But if you're worried about feeding cancers, if you're worried about not having a heart attack, not having a stroke, not damaging your arteries, then I think that we should really start looking at our iron and where is it located. So somebody mentioned here, what about ferritin? Well, too low a ferritin and too high a ferritin are very bad, okay? So we're trying to find the sweet spot of all of these things. So just by giving this vitamin D, we've already messed up vitamin A. But what does vitamin D do to calcium? Vitamin D causes the gut to absorb calcium. It increases calcium absorption in the gut. Now, what if you don't have enough K2 in your body? Oh, I see. If you think you don't have enough K2, you've been told to take it with it. Got it. Guacamole medicine. Because if you have high vitamin D, which lowers vitamin A, you have vitamin D and excess. I'm trying to walk you through this excess vitamin D thing. Remember, high vitamin D lowers vitamin A. In order to make a special protein, it's called MGP. You don't need to know that, but it's a special protein. The P stands for protein, okay? That's what allows vitamin K to work to draw the calcium out of the arteries. You've heard that, right? Let's take the vitamin K2 to drive the calcium into, oh, shoot. We're doing it again, you guys, over on Instagram. Ah, shoot. Lucy, you're gonna have, I'm putting this all on you. Lucy, you're gonna have to help me figure this Instagram thing out. Yeah, it's bad. Gosh darn it. Sorry, you guys on Instagram. We didn't make it but 15 minutes before it crashed my Instagram. So let's continue with the high vitamin D causing low vitamin A. Both K2 and vitamin A are needed in order to get the calcium out of the bloodstream and into the bones and teeth. Okay. So if you are taking high doses of vitamin D, you're going to lower vitamin A, and now you don't have enough vitamin A. So you say, I'm just going to take K2 as if that's going to help, but K2 can't work without vitamin A. Makes sense? So you're basically just supplementing yourself with K2 and you have destroyed your vitamin A because you took too much vitamin D. Now you have calcium sitting around in your bloodstream. And what does that do to your arteries? Could cause plaque, right? So now you have two irritants. I didn't even mention sugar yet, did I, Lucy? Didn't even mention sugar. I'm just talking about vitamins and minerals that we have been told to take because we're low or we could be low, so you take them anyway. So the irritants in the lining of the artery, just with taking vitamin D, causes overexposure of iron and overexposure of calcium just by taking vitamin D that nobody told you about. Okay. What do we do? How do we look at these things? I think we should, if you're going to look at a marker, please, how about this? Do not just randomly start taking supplements. You don't know what is going on in your body. Just like I said, you're going to check one marker like vitamin D and you're going to crash three others. Even know what you're doing. I don't mean that as a slam. That sounded terrible. How about with this? We don't even know what we're doing. As in, I'm part of this. Okay, it's not just you who's listening right now, it's all of us. We are taking something when we don't need it. We're taking excess because of a certain measurement that somebody made up that we should be in line with, when we're actually not even checking the right value, the right active vitamin D. So for the people who are trying to avoid heart attacks and they have, let's just say, a 0 calcium score right now, say they're 40 years old, but at 45, over time of taking vitamin D, and then on top of that, they're taking vitamin D, they're lowering vitamin A, they're lowering copper, so they're causing retention of or dysregulation of their iron, and they're likely eating some processed foods full of synthetic iron as well. It sounds confusing, doesn't it? I've pretty much confused you, I think. In my head, I know what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm actually trying to tell you, don't just blindly supplement. You don't know where those supplements have been. You don't know how they've been processed, and you don't know what they're doing to your body. I don't either. If you think that you just want to check, you can check, but are we checking the right things? So, say you want to get a magnesium level because your calcium level is high because you're taking vitamin D and you know that you're taking excess vitamin D causing serum or the calcium in your blood to go up. What is that doing to magnesium? It's lowering it. And then low magnesium does what to potassium? Lowers it. So you can see where the tumbleweed effect or this cascade is occurring, and you are trying to rely on your body to make good with it. But we're destroying it with our diet, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, no sunlight, bad light bulbs, the whole 9 yards, drinking bad water. Lucy, how do you know if you need potassium? Check your level. Check your level. First off, just check your level, okay? If you're going to check magnesium, get an RBC magnesium. If you're going to look at your chem profile, the chem profile is very non-specific when it's talking about calcium. Calcium in the serum on a chem profile is not as good as getting an ionized calcium level. So think about it this way. If you checked your RBC magnesium level and say it's a little low, and your ionized calcium level is high, let's say it's 10.2, 10.1, then you are setting yourself up for calcification in your arteries. You can't just take more magnesium to take care of the calcium, because the calcium is there because vitamin K2 isn't working. Vitamin K2 isn't working because vitamin A is too low, and vitamin A is too low because you took too much vitamin D, and on and on and on and on. Okay? Um, is it pantaleimon? Is it pantaleimon? I'm sorry. We'll just say pant, pant. If the vitamin D raises after a long sitting in the sun, does it influence the absorption of vitamin A? Is it the same as supplementing? It is not. It is not. Your body knows just how much vitamin D and how much vitamin A that your body needs. It's just that we go and mess it up. People have been running and playing in the sun since the sun came up with the first 7 days of Genesis. Okay, so we're thinking way too much about about supplementation and about medicines. And I understand it. In fact, when I was at the gym this morning, I was thinking about how, and the reason I was thinking about this is there was a guy at the gym that I see on Sundays, and his name is John. And John says, when he sees me walk into the gym, and there wasn't hardly anybody there this morning, which is really odd, he says, "So what controversy did you start up this week?" And I said, "Oh, John, it's the same controversy." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's always about how can we save ourselves from dying." And he goes, "Oh, well, I imagine that would be controversial, right?" And what I mean by that is, I even do this too. I don't know why. And I ask God this all the time. Malia, why are you so afraid of dying when you are a Bible believing Christian who knows that to be apart from the body is to be present with the Lord? And if my body dies and I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior, who died for all of my sins and yours too, I will have eternal life. Yet, the human tendency is to be scared of dying. And so we're afraid of heart attacks, we're afraid of strokes, we're afraid of cancer. We are afraid of all of the things that cause us to die. And if someone, guru, social media expert, doctor, chiropractor, just average citizen on the street, garbage picker upper, says, "Hey, I heard that this is good, and I think we should all be taking it," i.e., vitamin D. Okay. Because we've heard that this can help this, and that would all be great. I think better, I sleep better, I do all these things. I'm not going to argue that if you take vitamin D, you don't feel great. I'm not going to argue with that. What I'm trying to get you to do is think logically and use your brain, because there are consequences to everything we do, including what we eat. There is absolutely no way that you could take any number of medicines slash supplements to overcome all of the negative things you put in your body, or don't do to your body. Like, For instance, if you eat a crapola Dr. J diet, a crapola diet that Dr. J calls it, there is no amount of supplements that you can overcome a crapola diet, which is basically processed foods, seed oils, and sugar. Could you possibly live a long life consuming that type of diet? It's quite possible. I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a greater chance that you are causing harm and death of cells in your body slowly like quicksand. Okay. And you could slow the aging process down if you want to. I didn't say it's an anti-aging. You are aging. You're either going to age what we consider normally or you're going to age quicker. It's very few people who age slower than average, okay? It's just it's rare. But this thing about fearing death, which I need to get a grasp on too, okay? I truly, that's why I'm talking to you about it, okay? We truly need to get a grasp on our future. If we do die, where are we going? If you care, I care. And if I do care that much, why am I letting the world tickle my ear? Because I've been in the same boat as you guys where I'll take a supplement. I mean, I was probably spending $200 on supplements a month because I wanted to fix certain things, which I didn't even know needed or not needed to be fixed. Okay. But willy-nilly taking supplementation or taking medicines to fix a problem without looking at the underlying problem is just I just I just don't I really think we need to fix the underlying problem. Let's go. I just want to add this one last thing about the vitamin K2. If somebody says, I'm just going to take vitamin K2, it'll help with the calcium and do blah, 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 even if the vitamin D was too high and blah, blah, blah. The thing is, most people, I would say 70% of the population are insulin resistant, right? You guys have heard this term, insulin resistance. It's basically underlying diabetes. And you can have insulin resistance for years. But if insulin is high, which it probably is, because an optimal level is 3 to 5. When insulin is high, you're creating an acidic environment. Acidic. Guess what? Vitamin K2 can't work very well in an acidic environment. Okay. And then you're just dumping a whole bunch of vitamin K2 into your body, and you don't have vitamin A because you were taking too much vitamin D. So the question that Jack has, or actually gluten says, so we should never take vitamin D alone? Is cod liver have an okay amount? Is cod liver oil safer? And gluten says, is it safer to supplement with cod liver oil? Think about what you just said. Supplement. You're talking about cod liver oil, which is a natural, hopefully natural oil. You could just eat the cod. You could eat the salmon. You could eat the fish. You could eat the sardine. And that is a better source that it came from the animal, the fish that we are eating, right? Lay down. I said lay down. Go lay down. Tallow, lay down. Oh boy, we got a problem on our hands. Come here. Come here. Lay down. I said now. Oh boy. Hold, please. Let's go. Let's go. Come. We got the boys are having problems. Lay down. Lay down. I'm gonna see if I keep talking here, if they'll stop what they're doing. I should probably just learn to put them in the kennel, but I feel bad about that. Um, guys, help me out. Where was I? Oh, I was reading gluten's, the cod liver oil. Getting the source of vitamin A, vitamin D, getting omega 3s, getting all of the things that we need, I think is important to use whole foods. Taking a supplement is not in our best interest. So the answer is, should we never take vitamin D alone? No, I do not think that we should take supplementation, even though just yesterday I told you that during the wintertime I take vitamin D. So after thinking about this overnight, not sleeping, thinking about what I told the person yesterday about, if there was one supplement that I probably don't want to give up, what would that be? And I said creatine, and I said vitamin D in the wintertime, which is basically just a laugh because I just flipped the switch today. And so, which is it, Dr. Jensen? Is it take the vitamin D or don't take the vitamin D? But again, after thinking about this and thinking about it when I was working out this morning, I'm thinking about the guacamole trap, and I'm in it just like you guys are. We're in the guacamole trap. And we treat our health like guacamole. So what I really want to say is, my whole premise is on preventative medicine. How can we prevent things from occurring that actually can be prevented, instead of just adding more and more crap to our body when we don't need it and causing problems? So I always live by the thing is, why don't we try to subtract the thing that's causing a problem rather than adding to it? So subtract the crapola diet. Get rid of processed foods, seed oils, and sugar. Just get rid of it. And that, sis, is how you get rid of or reverse insulin resistance. No, you don't alkalinize the body, sis. You get rid of. So the question is, can we just alkalinize the body to get rid of the insulin resistance? No. Insulin resistance is due to hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance. So you got too much insulin on board. Why? Because you have too much carbs on board, too much sugar, processed foods, and seed oils. How do you reverse insulin resistance? Get rid of processed foods, seed oils, and sugar. Your insulin level will come down. What does that look like? It looks like a ketogenic diet. Well, I can't go without carbs. You can go without carbs. You don't want to. Carbs are not essential. There are none, zero essential carbohydrates. There's essential amino acids, there's essential fatty acids, but no, there are no essential carbohydrates. Never have been, never will be. Okay. So hopefully I answered gluten's question about taking vitamin D supplement, that I just heard myself say it. So Dr. Jensen is not going to be buying any more vitamin D. Her body is going to do quite well by making it in the summertime via the sunshine and having a supplement free body. Some of that vitamin D will incorporate itself and be a present for upwards to 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And there are studies on that. Okay. Our body can store it. Our body's very good at doing that. In fact, if you have a lot of fat on your body, you're storing a lot of vitamin D. It's fat soluble, remember? Um, let's see. Where I live, there is very little sunshine. I take D3K2. Is the vitamin A I get from beef liver sufficient? Act in the way that you were describing. That, thank you. Very good question. Again, you don't necessarily know that because you lack sunshine, that you're not getting enough vitamin D from through the clouds. There is sun. Are you getting enough stimulation for your body to make D3? I think yes. Are you eating salmon and cod and sardines? You'll get enough D3. There is no reason. There's no reason, Dr. Jensen, for you to take vitamin D. Okay? It's hard to get it through our head, but I'm going to stand with this, at least for today. after thinking through the cascade of events that can occur by taking too much vitamin D without even looking. And if I'm going to look, I'm going to get an active vitamin D level instead of an inactive vitamin D level. Okay. I'm going to get an ionized calcium level. I'm going to get a vitamin A level. I'm going to get a zinc level and a magnesium level and a copper level and a selenium level, whatever I need to do to get it through my head that I probably don't need to do anything except for eat real food. Um, Neri says, when do I stop vitamin D supplementation as my vitamin D level is now at 86? It's you're measuring inactive vitamin D. You have no idea what your active vitamin D is. Get an active vitamin D level. Look it up. Have your doctor order that. It should be in a nearly, I believe it's a 2 to 1 ratio of active to inactive vitamin D, 2 to 1 ratio. I'd have to look that up. Okay. But that's where my brain is telling me right now that that is the level. So most doctors would say that 86 is fine. That's a great level. But it's not very great if your active vitamin D is way low, because inactive vitamin D is doing nothing for you. It's just a number on a piece of paper. Is the active vitamin D working for you? Okay. Not all inactive vitamin D converts to active vitamin D. Not all inactive vitamin D converts to active vitamin D. Okay. Um, Weasel says, my roommate has memory issues and she gets upset. What could I use to keep her calm? Find out what's upsetting her first. Um, Janelle says, just like you say, info most important. I agree. Yeah, thank you. Tallow is his name. It's actually Tallow, as in beef tallow. He was named, his real name is Norman Tallow. He's from Norman, Oklahoma. I rescued him from a local rescue here in central Iowa who goes to places like Oklahoma and kill shelters and saves them. Not all of them get saved because if we brought every single animal, we would have no room. But Iowa is very good at taking in rescues. And it seems that Iowans don't just have one animal, they have multiples of the animals. So they don't just have one dog, they have 10 dogs. All right. They just keep saving animals. Okay. Okay. Good thoughts, sis. I don't exactly understand what your question is, but um something about complex carbs, I'm not sure. Neri, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here, you guys. If you please hit the thumbs up and the like right now. If you're not already subscribed and you like this information, you like being here on Saturdays and Sundays and just going through topics. Yesterday we spoke about the calcium score, and whoa, was that controversial. But just like what I just said about increasing vitamin D, what if you were taking this vitamin D and you're actually increasing your risk of calcification in your arteries, despite the fact they're eating terrible crapola diet? Okay. I mean, you could be taking vitamin D and causing a whole bunch of calcium to be swimming around in your bloodstream all ready for calcification, simply by you thought you were doing something great. And now you get a calcium score and it just went up. And now you're freaked out. So you'll take a cholesterol medicine, usually a statin. And then the statin will block the mevalonate pathway. And now you don't get more vitamin D. So you end up taking more vitamin D. And you block the pathway and you don't get CoQ10. So you'll just take CoQ10. And you block the pathway and you don't get vitamin K2. So you'll just take vitamin K2. Never looking once that you have insulin resistance, which basically is like driving a car without wheels. Yeah, I just made that up, but yeah. So, woo. Yeah, yesterday was controversial, but I think if we just use our brain, get rid of the insulin, okay? We don't really need to take much supplements at all. Okay. I know that we're breathing in a whole bunch of heavy metals and we drink them down and we sniff gasoline in congested urban areas and we're smelling diesel fumes and who knows the airplanes are dropping chemicals on us and we're putting chemicals into our shoulders and it just goes on and on and on. But you guys, taking more supplements could be just causing more and more problems. Taking more medicine, you take a statin to lower the LDL because you think the LDL is the problem because that's what you've been told and you've been indoctrinated and propagandized and all of that. I mean, at this point, who knows really what's causing the problem? You know, we you're telling your body, God, who made the body, the temple, God, I think you messed up. You made me with too much cholesterol. I'm saying, really? When has ever God messed up? No, I think we mess up what God gave us. Okay. And I think that is really what's going on. And then we try to correct all of our crappy lifestyle by taking guacamole medicine. For my next wellness exam, can you give me a list of the most important blood tests we can ask our doctors? I can, but it will, Neri, it will it will be extensive. And honestly, the lab test that I send a list to when people ask, um, it's not even complete. It doesn't even mention RBC zinc, RBC selenium, RBC copper. It doesn't mention vitamin A or um, the active vitamin D. It doesn't. My list probably needs to be updated because the more and more because I want to prove to people what they're doing to their body and I can't when you know it's not that I want to tell them that they're wrong. I just want to show them because I think you guys need numbers. You need it on a piece of paper that's saying, "Oh my gosh, I guess I didn't need that. What am I doing? I just caused, I took too much vitamin D. Now I have low vitamin A. I have too much calcium in my bloodstream because I have low magnesium. And now my vitamin K2 doesn't work. And now I got calcium swimming around in my bloodstream. And now I got calcium score of 100. Well, it took an injury for that calcium to really do something, right? And what was the injury? It could have been the high iron from the high vitamin D, which lowered the A, which lowered the copper and caused the iron overload. Or it could have been heavy metals and other heavy metals. Or it could be nanoplastics or the sugar insulin or the diesel fumes. And you say, gosh, why am I even living? Well, you are because you're here for a reason. You're here to spread the gospel. At least that's what I believe. And yet we are we are going through guacamole medicine. It's quite comical, really, when you just break it all down like this. Um, let's see. If you can make the same mistake as the other two, then it is possible for a different kind, and the other one is better for me. Oof. I absolutely don't know what you just said. So if you want, restate it, and I'll try my best to answer that. Right on, Neri. Amen. That is the purpose, to share the gospel. You never know who you're going to come across, who I'm talking to right now, who is not a Bible believing Christian, who does not believe the word. And just one little thing, you planted a seed, Neri. You planted a seed. And you might not reach anyone, but you might reach someone. You might reach more, two someones, three someones. We just don't know. But that is the Great Commission. George says, why bother trying to stay alive as long as you can when it's all predetermined before we were even born, when we're going to die and what we're going to die from? So don't waste your time, says George. What do you guys think of that? Thank you, 1910. Um, Sis says the only drug my PCP sends me is vitamin D, low dose, without a conversation as to why. And how do you even know it's low dose? What if that dose, whatever they gave you, is high dose because you don't need it? Now the vitamin D caused the low vitamin A, which lowers the copper, which drives the iron into the tissues, which increases oxidation and rusting all over your body. Hmm. Okay. Thanks, Doc. Jack says, yes, I eat salmon and sardines. Then I don't think you need to take in any supplementation, Jack. Let's do this together. Janelle says, last September, my thyroid levels were normal, okay, with 50 micrograms down to very low. Oh, so you're taking Synthroid, you're taking synthetic thyroid hormone at 50 micrograms. We are trying to increase to 75 micrograms, follow, increase, and do another draw in 6 weeks. Okay, is there a question in there? I don't see it. Yeah. Janelle says she worked for ASPCA. It's on the commercials for 4.5 years and then got burned out. I couldn't even go even for the half a year because I just love animals that much. And it would be not very good for my mental health to see what you saw, Janelle. I couldn't do it. I can't even watch Instagram reels with rescuing going on. Yep, you'll have to have a box of tissues because I can't deal with it. You would think that I would feel the same way when you guys get sick. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's human nature, I suppose. So yeah, you're welcome, Janelle, for giving Tello a home. He sometimes wonders why, because he's got a brother that instigates everything, everything. You walk and the timber does not like it. You can't do anything around the house. The other day I was so frustrated and so upset. I told him I was going to give him a new home. That's I love this boy, but I just was at my wit's end. I really was. He adores me. He just you can't he doesn't like anybody else. He doesn't like anything else. He can tolerate his sister Tootsie, and that's about it. He tolerates her. Um, I every dog has its own personality, and for those of you who have animals, you know. Lucy says so many haven't heard about insulin resistance. It is for sure driving a car without wheels. Yeah, insulin resistance can only be determined. Well, no, 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 take that back. I mean, I can look at a person and know if they have insulin resistance. I can just look at them. I look at their skin. I look at their belly. I look at several things. Okay. I can just tell a walking insulin resistant person. But if we wanted to really prove it, we would get an insulin level. Is insulin level highly 100% specific and sensitive? No, it's an up and down thing. Okay. But for the most part, getting a fasting insulin level will help determine whether or not you have insulin resistance. If you have insulin resistance, you are setting yourself up for every chronic disease. I said every chronic disease, from heart disease to stroke to Parkinson's to dementia to kidney disease to high blood pressure to whatever you can think of right now. Insulin resistance is a setup for all of those things. Okay. It is very inflammatory, very, very, very inflammatory. You can't drink anti-inflammatory water. You can't take anti-inflammatory medicines. You can't take enough turmeric to lower your inflammation because you did not get rid of turmeric, or excuse me, you did not get rid of high insulin. You can't take a statin to lower your risk of having a heart attack without correcting the insulin resistance. You will have a heart attack anyway if you're meant to have a heart attack. But if you continue to feed it, you know, eh, I can't remember who said it, but if you totally believe that nothing you do, your life is predetermined because God knows that you are going to do that. So why even try? God knows your whole timeline. So he knows that you're going to eat a crapola diet. And if you continue to eat the crapola diet, you're going to be right here, right then, and with him. I don't think when you read about the temple, he didn't say, you know what, eat a crapola diet, don't exercise, sit on the couch, play video games, and treat your neighbor badly and whatever. No, 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 no. I don't think that he said this is a license for you to do whatever you want because you're predetermined and you're going to die anyway. No, because that actually is a sin. You've not died to yourself. You've actually are living for self. And so that is the opposite of what you're talking about, a predetermined life. Okay. Um, oh, I like that idea, 1910, music therapy. But again, got to find out what is causing the problem. Yeah, Lucy, we can update that list for the blood work. I agree. But gosh, Lucy, it is so expensive. Right now, my list is, if I were to order it for you, is about $252. So if we add in the RBC zinc, RBC copper, RBC selenium, get a vitamin A, get an active vitamin D, we could put people up over 300 to 325. I'm guessing, I don't even know. I'm guessing maybe 350, because when you get RBC levels of your minerals, that's the whole thing. Is we have, I don't think we have a vitamin problem. I really don't. We have a mineral problem. I'm gonna go with that. We have more problem with minerals than we do with vitamins, okay? And these cofactors, they're not working well because we have other things going on. Our body is just not working as well as it could because we're destroying it. And then we think that we can take guacamole medicine and fix it. Okay. It's just my thoughts for today on a Sunday. Um, Sis says, oh my OMG, that's why she's been trying to get me on statins for years. Although my LDL lowered due to diet, I think I will stick to food and black seed oil and moringa and soursop. And sis is talking guacamole medicine right now. But if sis wants to do guacamole medicine, then let sis do guacamole medicine. Um, yeah, I agree. 1910. 1910 says, don't waste your time worrying, but steward your body you have been given by treating it well. Not treating self well, treating the body that was given to you as a temple to house or protect the Holy Spirit that you've been given once you commit your life and are born again. The Holy Spirit indwells in you. Your Holy Spirit is your concierge, your decision maker, your gut feeling, your God wink, all of those things is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is my counselor, in my counselor in my time of need, which is all the time. You should be in need of the Holy Spirit at all times, Christians. Um, Janelle has an iron medication question, please. Okay. I can try to answer it. So let me have it. Church says, interesting. I take vitamin D. I'll stop. And what are you going to do instead, Church? You're going to eat whole foods, right? You're going to be like Dr. J before the 10 o'clock live stream and eat a can of sardines. And today I prepared them just a little bit different. I actually fried them in tallow, not that tallow, but tallow from the cow. I used tallow. Oh my gosh, I'd never done that before. That was good. And then somebody yesterday told me that they do sardines in their air fryer to make them crispy like potato chips. So another interesting thing that you can do with sardines. What my question is, this is where my mind starts going, is okay, when we cook these things, are we actually cooking out the good stuff? Are we cooking out the vitamin A and the vitamin D? And are we oxidizing because I fried them, which is not really frying, it was just a little bit in a pan and I browned them on both sides. But is that just enough to oxidize the omega-3 that's inside the sardine? And now I just put an oxidized sardine into my body, and I increased the amount of oxidation that can occur from iron overload or whatever, cause reactive oxygen species, and blah, blah, blah on down the line. So you can see that Dr. J's mind is going 50 miles an hour um, in the wrong direction because she's thinking about dying. And why is she thinking about dying? Because everybody around her is dying. And then she's got this job, it's called being a doctor, and a doctor has been told that they should be saving people. And when really only Jesus can save people. What Dr. Jensen is trying to do is prevent you from, or me, from actually harming ourselves so we can't be saved by Jesus. We are harming ourselves. And we've allowed these things because there are evil things in this world that is trying to trap you. They're trapping you in guacamole medicine. They're trapping the doctors into convincing you to take a statin, right, sis? What is the reason for taking a statin? What what is the well, your LDL is high. Yeah, but what about the triglyceride and the HDL? What about my insulin? What about my CAC score? What about my ApoB? What about my high sensitive CRP? What about all of these other things? Nope, your LDL is high. Here's your statin. Standard of care. I follow standard of care as doctor. I don't get sued. So it's all about me, you guys. Forget about you guys. It's all about me, self. Or is it someone who believes in Jesus, wants to do right for you, and when we do right for you, I am blessed. I'm doing things for the glory of you, not for the glory of me. When I do something for you, it reflects on God, gives God the glory. So we are commissioned to be servants of you guys, not servants of ourselves. So that is part of undressing and getting rid of self every single day and pick up the cross. Pick up the cross, empty of me today, pick up the cross to serve you. But that is very, very hard in today's society. It's even not just today's society, it's just in this world because this is owned by Satan, the devil, the evilness of the world, which has been since 6,000 years ago. It's evil. And we have a mind that's easily persuaded. Our heart is easily persuaded. And we are persuaded to be self, self. And we even got self-help things. And we got people who help you help yourself, self-help. I mean, it's crazy. Okay. It's just that it gets frustrating as somebody who wants to help when the other person does not want to be helped. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Melanie. Melanie says some Bible verses indicate that your death is predetermined by God. Like you said, maybe he knows ahead how, and he does. Whether it is about that predetermined, but I mean, I know what you meant when you said that. It isn't a maybe that he knows ahead. He knows everything. He can see everything all at once. He sees everything all at once. There's not like time. There's no time. He just sees and it's everything. So he sees born and dead. He sees everything in between. And a lot of times we go and do something and he knows that we should not do that and he saves us. And then we say, oh gosh, that was God. And it was God because he's got your predetermination. But what if you go and do something? Like you go and do something and gone. He didn't have that predetermined. He saw it. He tried to stop you probably several times. You didn't see it because you had the world in you and not him in you. It's what I believe, Melanie. And I mean, do I have anything to back it up? I just have the word. And could I go to a certain Bible verse and put all of what I just said into a verse and say, this is what God said? No, I don't know it well enough that I could even remotely explain what I just said. But okay. All right. Moving on, you guys. Yeah, I agree, sis. Is be blessed and be a blessing. And we all do have a purpose in our life. And the purpose is not really to destroy ourselves. It's such a slap in the face when I see people, destroying their own body, their own temple, destroying their own mind, destroying their own heart, just destruction after destruction after destruction. And I get it. Satan is really, really good. You could see and understand, I think people can understand why certain people get so overwhelmed that they would do something that you couldn't even fathom, because this world is so very strong. And unless we are grounded in the word, in scripture, we are in trouble, you guys. That's all I can say. Okay. Janelle, I don't understand your question. Weakness and went from 113 to 120 in 1 week. I don't have the ability, or I don't want to have the ability to go back and reread every comment so I can put the context together. So if you're doing, like a continuous comment, please add to it so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I believe that too, sis, that animals do see our spirit. Our little spirits, our spirit and their spirit are mix. They really do. What about the plug-in pheromone release to help reduce dog stress? There you go. So I'm going to plug in chemicals into my home that I really don't know about. And I know you think it could be homeopathic, it could be this, it could be that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's all I can say. Thank you, thank you, thank you for caring enough to get my house in order. Um, I do have a problem with one. He's a definite problem, but I think he would be a problem no matter where he goes. And I don't know where he developed it, but it has been ongoing since his birth, because it started with Tucker. Um, I I don't know if there is a chance that there could be another male dog in my household that doesn't start out as a puppy. Okay. I just don't know. I can't take the risk because right now it's bad. And guess what? He loses whenever he instigates anything because Talo is bigger. Janelle, okay, for Janelle and everybody else who wants a list, please email me and I'll get that list to you. It takes me a copy and paste. It won't take me very long. So if you want a list of labs to take to your doctor, just email me at ironladydoc, iron lady lady doc at aol.com, and I can send you a list. If your doctor won't order some or all of those labs, I can do my best at ordering them, but your insurance company will not pay for them. Okay, it'll be out of pocket. I had a severe drop from the blood draw. Drop of what? I had a few days ago to concern my doctor enough to call me, but I don't know what you had a severe drop of. What level? I don't know. Okay, Penny, a rabbit hole that we won't go to. You got it. Oh, we went from 50 to 75 with another draw in 6 weeks to see efficacy. Oh, okay. So your level was low. What level was it? Is your doctor only getting a TSH, or are they getting a free T4, free T3, a TG, a TPO? You got to get the whole 9 yards. I like that one too, the KISS system, Penny. I appreciate that. Lucy says, my neighbor's dog had a kidney stone and they put him on kidney diet, and now he has type 1 diabetes. What can she do? Type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes. Most dogs, there is no real oral medication. Okay. They're not like a human that get insulin resistant. Dogs are a little different. When they get diabetes, there's really only one treatment, and that is insulin. But let's just say they need insulin. They do, or they would die. The amount of insulin they need depends on what you're feeding that dog. Did the kidney stone cause the diabetes? It's possible. I mean, anything could be a trigger. Any inflammatory process or um, an illness could trigger type 1 diabetes, could trigger diabetes. Let's just call it diabetes, okay? In a dog, they need insulin in order to treat it. So anything, a pregnancy, if a dog got pregnant and had babies, that could trigger um, an inflammatory reaction and wipe out the beta cells in their pancreas, okay? The kidney stone thing, I'd have to look it up. So in a human, that is the most common kidney stone. But what is it in a dog? I don't know. Is it a uric acid stone? Um, is it calcium oxalate? I don't know. And if my dog had a calcium or had a kidney stone, I would want to know what kind it is. Have them analyze it. Okay. And then I got to determine what is it that is causing that particular stone. Say it's calcium oxalate. Then I would say, uh-oh, I'm giving my dog too much plant. Plants have oxalates and phytates. So they're just like us. We get, calcium oxalate stones from eating oxalates. Our body makes oxalates. If you take vitamin C, you're going to make even more oxalates. Your body makes oxalates. If you take high dose vitamin C, here's another guacamole medicine. You guys have heard that if you take vitamin C, that will help with your illnesses. When it's really not even vitamin C, ascorbic acid. It's some whatever. It's made in a lab. And so you're taking something, vitamin C, okay? And what is that doing to the rest of your body? Well, one, as far as stones are concerned, you're increasing oxalates in your body. And if you're eating more oxalates through plants, especially raw plants, then you're going to have an overload of oxalates. Your body loves to store them in your tissues until you can't. Do oxalates increase your risk of coronary artery disease? Absolutely. Diabetes? Yep. It's inflammation. So you eat all these plants full of oxalates. You take vitamin C and your body makes more oxalates, and then you wonder why you have a calcium oxalate stone. Calcium is used to bind to the oxalate to neutralize them. So it's getting it out of your body. That vitamin C, the terrible triad that you were told to take about 6 years ago was vitamin C, zinc, and some vitamin D to prevent you from getting the you know what, and then you did get the you know what. But anyway, the vitamin C, the zinc, and the vitamin D, guess what it did to vitamin A? Yep, it lowered it. What did it do to copper? Lowered it. What did it do to iron? Fed it. And then if you have iron all over your body locked up into tissues as a feral environment to feed pathogens like viruses and bacteria and um, fungus and parasites. You fed it. That's a feral environment. You just did it to yourself. And you thought you were trying to help yourself from getting sick by increasing your immune system, when really, by taking all of those things, you did the opposite. You decreased your immune system. Do we need to take anything? No. Your body makes just enough of what you need. Now, if you had insulin resistant, all all bets are off the table. You just increased your risk of getting sick. The obese people got sick. The diabetics got sick. The only people who seemed to not get sick, or so they say, were the people who smoked, oddly enough. So what's that all about? And was it even real? Or did somebody just make up the studies so they could sell you some nicotine in a little chew box? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just bring it up because I want to bring it up, I suppose. Tristan says, while following a carnivore diet to help manage autoimmune issues, I sometimes wake up at night with a sore throat, a hoarse voice, and occasionally a headache. What could be causing these symptoms? Sleeping with your mouth open, most likely, getting a sore throat. You could have heartburn. If you have heartburn, that's the layman term, but if you have reflux, you have stuff, you went to sleep on a full stomach, it's refluxing up. no matter what you ate. You could have, if it was carnivore or it was a standard crapola diet, you lay down with a full stomach, you're going to get reflux up into the esophagus and into the mouth without you knowing it. And that can cause a sore throat. But a lot of times it's the, sleeping with your mouth open. It's possible you could have sleep apnea. I'm not sure. And if you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain, you're going to get a headache. So that goes along with sleep apnea as well. It needs to be looked into. You need to go to your doctor, have some tests run, you know, if you want. I don't think it's all, yeah, Heidi, thank you. See, our great minds are thinking alike. You just jumped on and you're helping us answer questions. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Okay. Lucy, I hope I answered that question. Yeah, subscribe and share, please, you guys. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. I appreciate that. Sis says, I got a medical CC credit card, I'm guessing, to do out-of-pocket tests. That's a good idea. Yep. As long as you got enough, usually a health savings account or something like that. Um, Yeah. So Lucy, they want to put them on insulin. So I would probably agree because if it's at this point, that dog likely does not have any insulin from the beta cells being pumped out. And it's just different with animals, okay? It's not like a human where you can preserve those beta cells, hopefully preserve those beta cells. Even if we had 20 or 40% beta cells, we can preserve them, okay? Um, but yeah, with a dog, from my reading, and it's not extensive, okay, because I'm a people person, but I believe that the only option when you find out that a dog has diabetes is to give them insulin. Now, whether that's type 1 or type 2, I don't know. I don't think that they're doing GAD antibodies or checking the all the 5 antibodies to actually look and see if dogs have actual type 1 diabetes that humans have. I don't know, okay? But I do know this, that most dogs who do end up showing signs of diabetes, it is because of a lack of insulin being produced, okay? And the only option is to give them insulin, but you don't have to give them a ton of insulin. You only have to give them what they eat. But if you give them crap, you're going to have to dose more insulin, which is killing them faster. Insulin at high doses causes heart attacks, causes cancer, causes its growth. It grows everything. Insulin is a growth hormone. You cannot live without it, but if you have too much, it is causing havoc in your body. It changes, we learned earlier, it changes the acidity of your blood. And when that happens, then you can't absorb K2. So you got to fix the underlying problems before we start guacamole medicine, okay? Um, Lucy says, I woke up at 3 a.m. with a burn in my stomach. Could this be that I am finishing my meals too early? Likely not. I, that's hard to say. Is that all the time or is it just a one-time deal? It could have been just, I don't know, Lucy, but if you ate too early and didn't have enough in your stomach, and then you're thinking maybe you were acidic or having, I mean, I, I think our body is really good at managing the acidity in our stomach. It's when we start doing something to it to try to fix it, that's when we start messing up the normal system. If it only happened that one time, I think I would let it go and just monitor. Um, Jessica is asking church, why did you say you're stopping vitamin D? Because we just went through how excess vitamin D plays havoc in our body. That's why. And church goes, oh boy, I think I'm going to stop my vitamin D now. I don't need it. Church might even go and look at their vitamin D levels, the active vitamin D. They might look at their vitamin A and their RBC copper and their RBC zinc and their RBC selenium and their RBC magnesium. They're going to look at all of these labs, okay? So Jessica, I did see it. I know what you're talking about. So um just eat a few hours before you go to bed. I agree. Yep, just waiting. Maybe if you go to bed at 10, maybe your last meal is at 6 o'clock. So it has time to digest and do its thing. Okay. So don't eat too close to bedtime. I've been guilty of that probably 300 out of 352 days of the year while I was working. Okay. Heidi also says, I just heard that my vitamin D level was in the 80s. That's inactive vitamin D. That's inactive vitamin D. You don't know what your active vitamin D level is. So you can have an inactive vitamin D level in the 80s, which sounds great. However, what is your active vitamin D? Not all inactive vitamin D converts to active vitamin D. So we probably need to get an active vitamin D level. Whew. Okay. All right. Okay, Jessica, it was answered. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. So yeah, Jessica, we were just going into why taking excess vitamin D plays havoc on our body by lowering vitamin A and raising calcium in the bloodstream. We lower vitamin A, we lower copper, we push or drive iron into tissues where it gets trapped and causes oxidation and rusting and yeah, the whole 9 yards. It also increases our risk of coronary artery disease, as does the calcium in the floating around in the bloodstream because you were taking vitamin D and the body didn't know where to put the calcium. Okay. There was no direction for the calcium, so it just stayed and lingered in the blood. Now, again, you have to have an injury for that calcium to do something, but I'm thinking just breathing the air might have given reason for an injury. So I don't want to risk having a bunch of calcium in my blood or even taking a bunch of calcium. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's really interesting, isn't it, Jessica? All of this is just one big giant cascade of normal physiologic and biologic processes that are going on in our body all the time. At the request of God, he made us perfectly made in his image, and we mess it up. We think that we can be little g God and fix everything in our body when really we probably need to be taking away, subtracting all of the things that we're doing wrong. And then we really don't need to add anything. Heidi says, I don't take calcium either, but I have osteoporosis. Why does Heidi have osteoporosis? Why is Heidi losing bone strength? Heidi could be menopausal. Heidi could be on a low calorie diet. Heidi might not be exercising. Heidi doesn't have enough protein in her body to make good bone. Our bones are made of protein. Yes, they have calcium, minerals, other minerals in our bones, but the doctor will say, just go take some calcium. Okay, well, if you take calcium in the presence of insulin resistance, now you're increasing your risk of a heart attack. Okay. And you're taking high doses of vitamin D, which is lowering your vitamin A, which is lowering your copper, which is putting iron into your tissues. One of those tissues is the arteries, which causes an injury, and then you calcify over with all the calcium that you have in your body. Oh, yes, Heidi is admitting that she is a small woman who in her youth never ate enough and probably still doesn't because that's ingrained into her. So limiting calories is one of the biggest reasons for women to get osteoporosis. No exercise, no weight bearing exercise, just going for walks, not enough. They lose their muscles. It's called atrophy. It's called sarcopenia as we age. And yeah, that's why you got osteoporosis, but you can reverse it. Increase your protein, start lifting weights, get more muscle. Heidi's only 56 years old, now working out, right? Working out, trying to eat a lot of protein and fat, Heidi, protein and fat. No, I do work out with weights. Good for you. Work out with weights. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Lift heavier, lift more weight, lift, lift weight through space. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That is what you need. And as you get older, it's going to be a little more. So you might need, and if you're a 100-pound person, maybe you need 125 grams of protein because as we get older, we cannot break that protein down into amino acids. We also need to have adequate amounts of fat, saturated fat from animals. And that would look like maybe 100, 125 grams of fat. So got a lot of work on, lot to work on. What about the 6G? You mean as opposed to 5G? 6G? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure. Good, Heidi. That's perfect. You do not want to die skinny. You don't want to die fat either. You just want to die with some fat that prevents your bones from breaking down, that prevents your muscles from breaking down, that prevents your brain from breaking down. We need to eat the correct fuel that fuels our brain. Ketones fuel our brain. Ketones fuel our heart. If we increase our ketones, we increase our stroke volume and we increase our cardiac output in our heart. As long as sugar's not there, our body will choose to use the ketones. Okay. Those are great comments, great questions. I appreciate that. Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy with all the information out there. Sometimes that is a common theme. And I have a name for that as well. It's called decision paralysis. We're being fed so much information. And what is happening to you, Heidi, is that you were taught in a certain way. For instance, I'm just going to give you some common themes that um, fruits and vegetables good for you, LDL is bad for you, cholesterol is bad for you. And you had that in your brain that if you eat fat and cholesterol, you're going to have a heart attack. If you eat fruits and vegetables, you will live a long, happy life. And that is what you've been taught. Okay. You've been taught to whatever. But let's just stick with those as an analogy. Now you have started educating yourself, you're reading more, you're listening more to social media, and you're just taking in loads and loads more of information. We have a condition of information overload, okay? And that information overload is now starting to compete with all of the things that you knew from before. Even if that was a lie, that fat and cholesterol caused a heart attack, even though it is a lie, you can't let go of it. You can't let go of it because it was ingrained in your brain from birth. It was through your parents' beliefs and through this. So you have that belief, okay? But a part of you says, maybe it's wrong. Maybe what I was taught is wrong. So you go on an information load up and you get all of the information that seems to go against what you were taught. That is called cognitive dissonance. You can't make a decision because since you're admitting since 17, you've been indoctrinated, you've been propagandized one way. Okay. And so if you were 17 years old, which is 40 years ago, and you take 2026 minus 40, you're right in the time period where, your parents are starting to say, ooh, we better stop eating red meat. Daddy's got high cholesterol and daddy's going to go on a statin and we all need to just stop eating. We need to boil our chicken and only eat vegetables and we better not eat eggs. So all of that information was ingrained to you. Daddy's going to die if we don't stop eating red meat, and he's going to die if he doesn't take his statin. It's ingrained in you. And so this information you're learning now is basically banging heads with all of that. So you become paralyzed. I can't make a decision because your old self says, don't eat fat. That's going to cause a heart attack. Or take this to take that to take this. And then the new self says, all of this has got to be wrong because people are still having heart attacks and they're 20, but yet they're still having heart attacks. And then they'll blame it on something else. It's got to be the ApoB or it's the LP little a, which we were all born with. If you don't have LP little a, you're going to die. But if you have too much, they tell you that that's bad. So we start checking it and we check it. Now we tell you you're bad. Oh my gosh, your LP little a is above 75. You're going to die of a heart attack, even though everything else looks perfect because we just keep checking tests. And we keep telling you to check a test. Check your ApoB, check your LP little a. Oh, those don't match up with what I want to say. Get this. Oh, you got a calcium score of 0.1. You're going to have a heart attack. Here's your statin. Oh, but I get diabetes. Here's your metformin. Well, my brain's not working. Here's your brain food. I got dementia. Here's your Aricept. You guys, I'm depressed. Here's your SSRI. Well, you don't have any fat because you weren't eating cholesterol, because you didn't eat red meat and you didn't eat the eggs. The natural foods that we were, the minute we were born, we should be eating. I mean, it's just really just crazy. So I understand, Heidi. I'm in the same position as you. It's called decision paralysis. I'm fighting how many years of training this brain to save you guys from yourself when it was all wrong. I was fed over and over and over again for years. It was like a robot. I was like Pavlov's dog. I was being fed with this information, even more than you guys, even though you got your fair share of the information through the TV, through the radio, through commercials, through your parents, through your doctor, over and over and over again. And then it was just intense. You don't even go home. You stay at the medical school. You stay with the doctor. It's 14, 20 hours out of 24 hours. You're being indoctrinated over and over and over again. It's crazy. And so I understand I'm still living in decision paralysis. Yeah, I really am. It's just amazing. I can't even sometimes walk out the door because I feel like, and then Heidi, imagine this. Imagine this scenario where you get decision paralysis, and say, Heidi, that you're a well-spoken person. You are in a position where people look to you for information, and yet you think you know the right information. Heidi thinks she knows the right information. She now knows without a shadow of a doubt that vitamin D lowers vitamin A, which traps iron. And that could increase oxidation in our body, cause rusting of the cells, increase our risk of coronary artery disease, and on down the line. Science backs it. There is no way that if you take enough vitamin D, you're not going to lower your vitamin A. You know it. You know that. Okay. And now you start telling people and you want to help them and say, hey, maybe you don't need to take vitamin D. And so after a while, Heidi, because of your decision paralysis, because what you've been told here and now what you're learning now, and they're fighting against each other, you become you start thinking about yourself as being an imposter. And now you got imposter syndrome. You think that you're telling somebody and now they're going to die. If you tell them not to take vitamin D, they're going to break all their bones. And so now you see where everything that we've been taught, it is so hard to undo, right? It's hard to undo it. It's crazy. And so, yes, I think that many people are listening right now agree with this description. And sometimes you want to think, what if I go back to just living in a tunnel and having tunnel vision and not listening to anything and just live in bliss and let myself die and not listen to anybody? That is an option. That is definitely an option. Okay. Close yourself off and just, you know, I don't know the right answer. I'm just answering your question on why I think that you might be having these questions and problems. Thank you, Anne. I think that was Anne who sent that to me. I appreciate that. That helps this channel keep going. It's much appreciated. Mm. Sula says, I have pressure in my head through my right eye. Been telling my doctor, but he says to go to an optician. Not an optician, probably not, maybe an ophthalmologist. The optometrist might not see everything that an ophthalmologist does. Okay. You might need a CT scanner, an MRI. I would go to an ophthalmologist. It's a medical doctor who does work with the eyes. I'm not saying that your optometrist is bad. I'm just saying if they don't see anything and you still have a problem, go a little further. Okay. See an ophthalmologist, get more tests. Could it be a vitamin or mineral? Yeah, it could be an overdose of a vitamin or mineral. It could be right back to iron overload. Okay. I don't know what your insulin levels, but you could have glycation in your eye. You know, maybe you're developing cataracts and macular degeneration early. The optometrist didn't see it. Maybe the ophthalmologist will, but is there something metabolically going on that's just causing problem in your right eye? I don't know. Sula, you really need to talk about all of these things with your doctor. However, in a 10-minute appointment, you might need 30 of those appointments just to get an answer from your doctor, and they're going to forget because they didn't look at your note, because they really didn't do your note. They scribed your note. I can go into that too, but we won't. But Sula, it is very important that you do some information gathering on your own to figure this out. I wish I knew what the answer was without looking at a whole bunch of labs, looking at all of your scans, being your doctor, which I'm not. This is not medical information. It's for information purposes only. I will make that disclaimer. So, um, let's see. Um, Chess says, what creates heart attacks? Has nothing to do with our food intake. It has to do with stress. I'm not going to deny that stress is not a part of it, but you just said it has nothing. That means not anything. Not it. You didn't say something. You didn't say not everything. You said nothing to do with our food. And Chest, I'm going to respectfully disagree because if you eat a bunch of sugar and your insulin goes up and you get diabetes, the diabetes is the number one cause of your heart attack. Now, if you don't eat sugar and you don't have a high insulin and you do have a lot of stress in your body, you are increasing cortisol, and cortisol can increase blood sugar, which increases insulin. Stress can cause heart attacks. Why? Because it increases your risk of blood clots. What is I think the number one cause of heart attacks? It's called the thrombogenic hypothesis of heart attacks or cardiovascular disease. The thrombogenic hypothesis, not the lipid hypothesis. Um, yeah, hunter-gatherer, I agree. It's inflammation. Aphrostatin is a billion-dollar industry. Aphrostatin, when you can just eat grapefruit for the same results. Okay, grapefruit, a sugar, a fructose. So as you're eating grapefruit, to help whatever problem that you have, I'm not sure what it is, you are going to increase your risk of fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease is a visceral fat. It's an inside fat. Inside fat, that's ectopic fat. It's in a place where it's not supposed to be. We're not supposed to have fat around our organs or in our organs like our muscle. We are not meant to have Wagyu beef in our muscles, okay? Like a cow that they feed a whole bunch of crap to make Wagyu beef in Japan or wherever they make it now. So, yeah, eating fructose is not in our best interest ever. Taking high fructose corn syrup is not in our best interest ever. So, to get back to the fatty liver or the fatty organ or the inside fat is an endocrine organ. It produces something called PAI1, plasminogen activator inhibitor 1. What does plasminogen activator inhibitor 1 do? It actually increases our risk of blood clots. So as you're eating all of the fructose, you're increasing your risk of abdominal fat, you're increasing your risk of producing PAI1, which is a hormone that is produced from visceral fat, and you actually increase your risk of having a blood clot, which can cause a heart attack or stroke. So I guess that's good luck with that grapefruit part. I don't know. It might work for you. Inner Tube says, I appreciate your approach. I'm not sure exactly what approach that is, but um, I guess my approach is just to share all of the things that I learn, all of the information, and try to put it into perspective because it's just one big giant picture instead of everything in isolation. When we start reducing all of the things to an LDL or a vitamin D or an SSRI, or if you think that you have some deficiency of some medicine, you're actually just reducing this down to something that you think is so simple when it's a big giant picture. And it's really too bad, but we've been taught that, and you almost have to take this step back and look at it from a big giant picture. But it's hard to do that with you guys because you don't have that education that I have that could put all of this in context, because you might not even have thought about looking at vitamin D and vitamin A and copper and iron. You would have never even thought about that cascade. But see, I can insert it. I say, okay, if you have high vitamin D, how is that going to affect iron? And then say AI comes back and says, well, it really doesn't do anything. You should do whatever. And you say, wait. Doesn't vitamin D lower vitamin A? Well, yes. And doesn't vitamin A cause low ceruloplasmin that carries copper, so you get low copper? Well, yes. And doesn't low copper cause iron to be driven into the liver? Ooh, I see where you're going with this. This is a fine thing that you've done. And you're getting real deep with the metabolics. That's what AI is going to say you. But you didn't know to ask those questions. And so that's why you are seeking knowledge all the time, seeking knowledge, seeking knowledge. And now it's getting all jumbled. And all you're going to learn over time is by connecting dots, connecting dots. And you could be connecting dots for the rest of your life. But you're going to find some information that I give you, and then you're going to say, oh my gosh, that explains blah, blah, blah. And then you go down that rabbit hole. It's kind of fun, but then it kind of overwhelms you. And then, yeah. Okay. My gout disappeared when I ditched the fruit. Amazing, hunter gatherer. Did you know? You know, I know I'm talking to you right now. You do know, but these people don't know. Why does fruit increase our risk of gout? Because fructose increases uric acid. For every fructose molecule, you have a uric acid molecule. So you can't get rid of the uric acid fast enough. It's ruining your kidneys. It's ruining your heart. Did you know that high uric acid levels increase your risk of cardiovascular disease? Just because you were eating fruit. So you're going to eat fruit like the grapefruit that was suggested earlier. You're going to eat this fructose and anything else that has fructose in it, and you're going to one glycate 10 times faster than glucose, right? Glycation means gumming up all of your your protein in your body. And then you're going to increase belly fat, which secretes PAI1, which increases your risk of having a heart attack because you have an increased risk of a stroke. And at the same time as you're eating all this fructose, you increase your uric acid levels, which also cause all of this inflammation, increase your risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke, as well as heart failure. I'm not sure which one comes first, heart failure or the heart attack. I'm not sure. But anyway, hunter-gatherer just went off of the fruit and the uric acid came down and so did his gout. Amazing. Um, Heidi says, Doc says, don't eat asparagus tips and cut out the red meat. Don't eat asparagus tips. Well, I agree. Don't eat asparagus. I mean, especially raw. That is full of phytates and oxalates, and it just caused your $25 ribeye steak to be worth about $5 because of the phytates and oxalates actually decrease the absorption of amino acids. And it also decreased the absorption of all the B vitamins that was in the steak. And it also decreased the amount of selenium, calcium, magnesium, all of the positively charged minerals. So I don't know if I would eat the asparagus tips or the asparagus neck or whatever. So I don't know. That's me. Heidi, you might want to, I'll tell you what really turned the tables for me was the day after I listened to Dr. Anthony Chafee talk about how plants are trying to kill you on a lecture series on YouTube. And after that, I didn't eat another plant, gave it up. Cold turkey, just gone. So yeah, funny experience, but that was it. And I truly love my ribeye steaks and my ground beef and all of my meat. And I really don't want to put a plant next to it that, you know, if I spend $30 on a steak, I really don't want to make it worth about $4 because I want a little green on the side of my plate. I'll ask for an egg instead, or two or three, and a slab of butter. Okay. Yes, hunter gatherer, we all thought asparagus was good. I can't tell you how much asparagus I ate when I was dieting for my bodybuilding shows. And I ate it raw, right out of the bag, so I didn't have a chance to cook it. Imagine eating a raw plant and all the oxalates. I wonder why my body didn't hurt. Mm, Happy Sunday, King. I appreciate you being here. Heidi says, the other Heidi, not this Heidi, Heidi on YouTube says, I suspect I have nephrotic or nephritic syndrome. I retain crazy amounts of weight and my weight won't go down. Yeah, you need to really see your doctor, get a kidney function, get an ultrasound, get that worked up, okay? Get a microalbumin, a urine microalbumin, check your cyst and see, get proteins, IgA, get the game, the IgG, IgA, IgM, IgE, see a nephrologist. You got to have that looked into. Okay, Heidi. Um, Michael says the problem is most doctors do not help understand the whole picture like you do. Because I have time to share the whole picture with you. But at first, to share the whole picture with you, I actually have to study about 10 hours a day. Maybe not that much, but it's a lot, Michael. No, I'm sorry. It's Michelle. Sorry, Michelle. I also need better glasses, probably. I'm sorry. Um, so Michelle, I have to study this just so I can share it with you. All of this stuff is like trapped up in my head. And imagine if your doctor's seeing 40 patients a day. They don't have time to read all of this and do the intricacies of how things work, every biologic process that's working in our body. That's why we have specialties. You go to the heart doctor, you go to the lung doctor, you go to the P doctor and the gyne doctor. You go to all these doctors and they aren't even working together. They don't know anything except for what they know right in front of them in their narrow tunnel vision. And you're having to go online listening to some doctor spew out a whole bunch of stuff why you shouldn't take vitamin D. Or maybe you should take vitamin D. I don't know what your level is. And I'm not telling you to really do anything or not. I just want you to be aware that if you take excess vitamin D, you could increase your risk of having a heart attack when you are trying to improve not having a heart attack. Okay? I mean, there's just a lot. You can love vegetables all you want, Heidi, and you can eat them. It's up to you. Um, Perry says, I like your discussion on the calcium score. I spent 15 years on max statin, calcium score of 3,800, high LP little a, healthy and exercise 4 days a week, 2025 stress test with ST elevation post cabbage. Okay, so here's what I want to ask Perry because I have all of these questions. This is a humongous story. Not everybody who has a calcium score of above 0 is having blockages in their arteries. It does not work like that. A 3,800 doesn't say you've got completely blocked arteries. It could be completely blocked arteries, but it doesn't have to be. The calcium score does not tell you. It just tells how much calcification is there. Okay? That's one thing. Taking a statin for 15 years or 20, as in the case of Dr. Jensen, you would wonder, what is it that you did that increased? Because remember, a calcium score is your past history. It takes a long time to build calcification. What did you do in your history? Did you eat a crapola diet, never exercise, ate processed food, seed oils, and sugar, lived the life, drank the beer, smoked the cigarettes, didn't get out in the sun, sat under LED lights, had a negative attitude on life, full of stress because you're trying to raise a family that you know and working overtime, and you wonder why you have these problems. Nobody looked into the history, just gave high dose statin to Perry in hopes that it's not going to calcify anymore. I mean, seriously, if you take a statin that long, you're going to go from a 0 to something because statins increase calcification. They increase calcification not only in an area that has a soft plaque, which you're afraid of, and you say, and the doctor will say, well, at least you stabilized it. Okay, at least you stabilized it. But here's the thing they didn't tell you is you can get de novo calcification somewhere else in your body because of a statin, because of the way it blocks the mevalonate pathway and disrupts vitamin K2. Oh, I'll just take vitamin K2? Yeah, but you probably have insulin resistance, and insulin resistance doesn't make vitamin K2 work at all. You can't just take a supplement. Do you think that you could take enough vitamin K2 that would get rid of all of that calcification and jam it into your bones and teeth? Doubtful. Doubtful. What's high LP little a and why are we even looking at it? I don't know. Is this LP little a? I'll tell you why, because it increases your risk of blood clots. You need some blood clotting, you just don't need too much. That's why LP little a came on the market to start checking because they know deep down that it really isn't LDL. It's gotta be the blood clots. Maybe down deep, the people are saying that we should need to check for LP little a really do believe in the thrombogenic hypothesis. I mean, don't most doctors tell you to take an aspirin? So wouldn't that tell you that they actually do believe that blood clots are probably the cause of your heart attacks and not the plugged up arteries that take 70 years to get? Most people don't have heart attacks because of blocked arteries. And I can speak for my dad. He had 5 vessels, a cabbage, a 5 vessel cabbage. They were all 100% blocked. Walking around doing the thing, no heart damage, zero. No heart damage. Why? Because he had collateral flow. He built new blood vessels. Why? Because he exercised. He likely had insulin resistance. Why? Because he had bran flakes and sugar-free ice cream every single day, eating rice because they told him to eat rice, and chicken and baked beans because that was a complete protein. And he stopped eating all red meat. And he ended up dying of progressive supranuclear palsy because he had been on statins for 40 years, I believe. Can I prove it? No, he's passed away. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that super sticker. I appreciate that. So there's a lot of things that they aren't telling us. And you guys, I can expect you to know all of this. I really can't expect that. But I want to congratulate each one of you for actually being here because it tells me that you are investing in your health. You want to be better. You're starting to see that your doctor is not there to help you. Your doctor is to really be there for themselves, and they make you feel that they're doing something for you. But Perry, before they put you on a statin, did they talk to you about your insulin level? Did they talk to you about your consumption of processed foods, seed oils, and sugar? Did they tell you about your smoking habit? Did they tell you about polyunsaturated fatty acids? Did they tell you all these things? Why? Well, easiest thing to say is, well, I guess they didn't know. Well, if I'm the doctor and I'm giving you a statin, shouldn't I know what the effects are? Shouldn't I really know? I mean, right there, if I didn't know that statins block the mevalonate pathway, what business do I have giving you something that caused you to have diabetes? And then you get diabetes, and I tell you, you tell me that I got diabetes from that statin, and I say, yeah, but at least you didn't have a heart attack. I prevented you, and the studies say that I'm going to prevent you from having a heart attack, which you didn't. But you know, you got diabetes. Well, here's your medicine for it. I mean, it's almost comical, you guys, right? I mean, you're probably just laughing and you're going like this and hitting your forehead, like saying, "Oh my gosh, I really just never thought about it that way." And I'm not putting down every doctor, okay? I am one. I'm actually probably laughing at myself for being that ignorant and you guys believing my ignorance. But I can say this, and I know it might not make a difference. I didn't do anything to hurt you on purpose. I did not want to hurt you. But the fact that I didn't know and I should have known hurt you. But truly, I did not have a nefarious way about me that I really want to hurt you. I did not get kickbacks. I did not get anything. I just followed standard of care. I just followed the guidelines. I followed what I was been taught. I did not want to hurt you. In fact, I wanted to help you. I wanted you to take the medicine so you didn't die of a heart attack because they said if you put them on this medicine, you're not going to have a heart attack. And then I saw all my patients getting diabetes. But then I thought, well, shit, they're eating like crapola diet. What else? They're going to get diabetes. No, I spurred it on. I didn't know. I didn't know that it increases glucose intolerance. I did not know that. I was told to prescribe the statin because it lowered LDL, and LDL is the cause of your heart attacks. That's what I knew. And that's what I did. And now it's different. It's just different now. And so, Perry, you have grafts now in your heart, and now they are at higher risk of damage, even more so than your first ones, okay? Your first arteries were yours, and now you have grafts in there, but they're not where they're supposed, they're not in their original place. You have veins now acting like arteries. A vein is not an artery. Would you agree with me? And now you're putting a vein where an artery should be, and that vein is going to go bad even faster than your arteries did. So it is in your best interest to figure out what caused that injury to that artery that you had to replace with a vein that is going to get damaged very rapidly if you continue down the same path. If the path is high sugar, high processed food diet, then you are feeding that vein, and that vein is not going to last. It'll last even less than, say you're 50 years old. It'll never make it 50 years. It will never make it 50 more years. Okay. Um, yes, ribeye is so wonderful. I agree. Um, Anne says about blood pressure, how many times should the nurse GP take blood pressure in an exam room? Here, an office assistant uses a digital machine, but the GP doesn't bother with the sphygmomanometer. That's the blood pressure cuff, and listening with a stethoscope. So they're using a machine, resulted in an error. Um, this is the proper way to take a blood pressure, is have the person come in, sit for 20 minutes in the room calmly, no nothing going on, no phone, no nothing, no talking, no nothing, sitting on a chair, feet flat on the floor, not crossed, not feet crossed, emptied their bladder before they sat down for the 20 minutes, because if you have urine in your bladder, it can raise your blood pressure. So pee, come into the office, pee, sit in the room for 20 minutes, feet flat on the floor, don't cross your feet, and then the nurse comes in, don't talk, take your blood pressure. I wouldn't even trust if they can use a sphygmomanometer. Just stick with the digital machine, maybe. I don't know, but maybe that is. My nurse was excellent at taking blood pressure, so she did quite a few, and she was very good at it. Um, Anyway, doctors don't check blood pressures anymore, so I don't know if I would rely on my doctor or me. You probably would not rely on me as much as my nurse, because I don't check blood pressures as much. I can feel pulse and be able to have a very good, by watching the sphygmomanometer and having a very good idea, but I would not be exact, okay? But nonetheless, um, the nurse comes in and she should not talk to you. You should not even really look at her. Your arms should be at heart level, and she should probably sit on a chair next to you and take your blood pressure. All of these things, we're not getting accurate blood pressure readings, okay? Maybe you need to get a blood pressure cuff at home. If you're high in the office, you ask me, I usually have my nurse check it one more time, sitting 20 minutes, feet flat on the floor, empty bladder, no talking, and see if it's they match up. Yeah, Sula, I believe their doctors are probably burned out, and you're probably right. They don't have any interest. Their interest is in themselves. Everybody is human. We're our own little G's, our own little gods. Sis says, what do you think about eating for your blood type? That would mean that we have how many different blood types and how many different diets. Okay. And so there isn't, you're saying that you think it's possible that there is a diet for blood type O. Is that blood type O positive, blood type O negative? You think there's a one for blood type A, blood type AB, blood type B, all positive, all negative? What? I mean, so you're going to tell these people, you're going to say that God made everybody different when there was really only animals when he created, when he was the creator. And now you're going to say that God made each one of us with different blood types, and we all eat something different when the animal is right there in front of us, or you don't eat it because that's not for your blood type. I just don't think that that is true. I can't get on board with that. Um, Sis says, because I've always eaten just what my body craved, and thought, well, so you just eat, if you crave ice cream, do you eat what you crave? Does that mean, because people out there are craving all kinds of stuff because they're addicted. They're craving fast food. They're craving cookies and ice cream and potato chips and fried chicken nuggets and burritos and tacos and all of this stuff, right? So just eat what you crave. I, again, I know what you meant, but I don't know what you meant because I really literally don't know what you mean. If you crave what you eat and you eat what you crave, then you could be a walking time bomb right now. That medical term, suspected cause of dad's death in layman terms. Okay. In layman's terms, well, first, the medical diagnosis, progressive supranuclear palsy. My dad developed a lack of fat and cholesterol in his brain. It led to damage to the myelin sheath around the nerves, just like any neurodegenerative disease, whether it's Parkinson's, dementia, progressive supranuclear palsy, MS, all of them lack a myelin. They're degenerating. So our myelin sheath, that coating, like on a cord that plugs into your wall, it has that black coating. That would be the myelin sheath. It's full of fat. And so my dad being taught that not to eat any saturated fat, boil the chicken even, don't eat the eggs, don't eat red meat anymore. He lacked fat. He also lacked probably vitamin D because he didn't make any. He probably lacked sex hormones. He did because we checked his testosterone. It was like 200. He, and so our thought process was to give my dad some testosterone when the statin was actually causing it for 40 years. So my dad developed paralysis first in one leg. So he tripped and fell and he broke his femur. And we didn't think anything of it. He just said that the dog's chain got wrapped around him and he fell. And okay, you're older, you fell, you can break it. Well, then he really didn't tell us that, you know, his leg was kind of giving out. He even tripped down some stairs. He didn't even bump himself. You talk about God watching out for my dad. Amazing. I still did not connect the dots. I said, you need to be careful because he said his heel slipped out from under him. I thought, oh, this is probably just aging. No. Well, then he really couldn't walk with both of his legs. So then he started using a walker and a cane. He first started with a cane. People couldn't believe it. My dad was an exerciser. I mean, he lifted weights. He ran 6, 7 miles a day. That's another story. The over exercising, over mTOR, overproduction of insulin, all of these things add up. It all just adds up. Can you stop everything? No, but it all started with him being told that his cholesterol's high. Stop eating this. Take this medication. Okay, so when his legs started giving, so we had to get him into a wheelchair, or he had to walk with, first he walked with a walker, then he got into a special wheelchair, then he couldn't move one of his arms. So then he used his other arm, and then both arms wouldn't work. So he can just sit there. And then eventually he couldn't swallow, you guys. He couldn't talk. And then he couldn't swallow. So, if you can't swallow, what that does to the body, you just don't eat. And then you just die. And then they call that natural aging. Yeah, it's all over sad. I miss my dad. And I was a part of that. I told him to take the statin. Keep on the statin, Dad, because I was indoctrinated. I agree, MK. Take the statin. People are quoting relative risk reduction of 38% when the absolute risk reduction is like 0.1. And what is the number needed to treat? If your calcium score is 0, the number needed to treat for 10 years to save one event is somewhere between 87 and 197, depending on what study you're looking at. If your score is over 100, the number needed to treat for 10 years is 19 to prevent 10 years. You have to treat somebody with a statin for 10 years. 19 people need to be treated in order to prevent one event. One event. The 19 is nothing like 87. But we are putting all of our chips into something that might not mean anything. And when all of you have to do is decrease the inflammation in your body, decrease the amount of processed foods, sugars, and seed oils. Don't smoke. Don't drink alcohol. Get 8 hours of sleep. Hang around positive people. Get out in the sun. Get out in nature. Pray. All of these things. And nobody does any of them. I don't have time. I'm at the office all day under the blue light. And then I got to run the kids to the games. And then I got to go to the bathroom. We're in a world of hurt, but there are things that you can do. When a PCP says, since you smoke, I want to put you on a COPD medicine. Yep, some sort of a breather. So we can get ahead of it. I have a database that will help me decide if you're a candidate. You're not. I quit smoking. Good idea, sis. That was great. That was awesome. Jack says, can I borrow you so you can have a chat with my pre-diabetic daughter? Maybe you can borrow this and have her listen to it. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, Jack. I feel for you. And she's addicted. Your daughter is addicted to this world and the food of this world. She is not addicted to steak. Anybody listening to me right now who eats a lot of steak or meat or just eats that and does not eat any carbs? Do you ever feel like I'm within reason? Do you hear of anybody saying, I'm so addicted to steak, I just can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of lamb. I just can't get enough of chicken. No, you'll just stop eating it. You can get enough. You'll just stop eating it. But if I have a bag of chips in front of you, you'll just keep eating them until they're gone. Cookies, ice cream, crackers, bread. You're full. Oh, I'm so full. I can't fit another bite of steak in. Hey, how would you like? Oh, I'll take it. Really? What happened to being full? See, it's addiction. They have fixed it. They, being some sort of global flavorist, I'm sure, has fixed it so they know exactly how to trigger your dopamine. You are a Pavlov's dog to them. They don't even have to ring a bell for you anymore. It's amazing how much, but you can improve it. I don't want to say it's a lost cause. You can stop. You can lock yourself in a room, tie your hands behind your back, and have somebody watch over you with some steak and water and some salt. And I think you can recover. Sis, incredible testimony. Thank you for pushing past your pain to share your dad's experience. Yeah, it's tough. More than you know. I'm having trouble just even holding back the tears talking about it. What about other meds that lower absorption of fats? That lower absorption of fats, not affecting the production of cholesterol in the liver. What is your opinion on that? My opinion would be why, like Zetia and Welchol, or fiber, cholestyramine. My question is, do you think God made a kill switch in you that is all just related to cholesterol? Why are the reasons for your cholesterol in such a funk that you think it is? Why? Ask that question before you say, I think I'll take some Welchol or Zetia or cholestyramine or increase my fiber or do all this other stuff. Why is it that your cholesterol is in your head the problem? Why do you think your liver has a problem making too much cholesterol? I will tell you, if your diet is high in carbohydrates, you are going to have a problem with your liver not knowing what to do with all of those triglycerides. It's going to package them up as VLDL. And that VLDL is at risk of being damaged. So is it kind of a cholesterol problem? Yeah, but it isn't the way your body is malfunctioning. You've been told you got some hyperfamilial cholesterolemia. You're feeding it. There is one, if anything, there is one type of genetic HF, hyperfamilial cholesterolemia, hereditary familial hypercholesterolemia, one type that I think is probably the most damaging, and it is homozygous. You have two genes, one from both parents. You are homozygous. You are at high risk of having a blood clot. Do you take a statin to prevent the blood clot? I don't know, but they'll tell you to. because they think the LDL is the problem, when really the part of the statin that's helping you as a homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia patient. Okay, Lucy, thank you for being here. Lucy's got to go. Lucy put in her time, and I really appreciate her being a moderator. You guys are so good to Lucy, and Lucy is doing such a good job, and I want to just thank her for being here and being that Blue Shield moderator for us. Um, so, the one type, the homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia person is at very high risk of a blood clot, despite what their LDL is, okay? It's that blood clot. Is a statin antithrombotic? It is. But is it enough? I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Whatever got us to look at familial hypercholesterolemia, whatever gave us that look to ever check a genetics? I don't know. I can't answer it. Thank you, Terry. I know Jesus loves me. Jesus loves you too. Jesus loves everybody. So I am 100% positively sure that Jesus loves me. He loves everybody. And I especially know he loves me. And I especially know I love him back. All right, you guys. That looks like the end of the questions. I think maybe this week I will talk about the guacamole trap, the cascade of medication after medication after medication, which translates to supplement after supplement after supplement. You take one thing and you crash three other things. It's called guacamole medicine, and the guacamole trap has a lot of us pinned. So maybe I'll talk a little bit about that, as long as I can talk in a minute 20 or 2 minutes and 20 seconds or whatever, to get you to understand. But you guys got the inside information on guacamole medicine today. You heard my testimony. You heard about taking excess amounts of vitamin D and what that can do to your whole body. So you're hearing about the normal physiologic and biologic processes that are going on in our body, and we think that we can just insert whatever we want and make that pathway work 100%, when in all actuality we're ruining things, and we're ruining it with synthetic man-made chemicals placed into a capsule. We don't even know what that powder is, and we believe them. Just like you believe your doctor, you're believing some supplement company putting something in a capsule, and you believe it. Well, I don't feel anything, but it's got to be helping me. You don't even know. We don't know. We do not know. Okay? So you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. God bless all of you for listening and for being here and for taking part in your own healthcare. This is empowering for you and for me, knowing that you're here. And, you know, if you don't know Jesus, I hope that you will meet somebody who does know Jesus, who can tell you about Jesus, because Jesus loves you and Jesus will take care of you. And Jesus has a place in his big mansion. He's got a huge room for you in his big, huge mansion, all for you, all for you. And there'll be no more pain and no more suffering. And it'll be so joyful in heaven with Jesus. You guys have an excellent, God blessed day. Okay. See ya. Oop, here we go.